Here are the 9 takeaways from the US Isn't Japan, It's Argentina, episode 927 in under 4 minutes. 1. Ongoing financial crisis. The podcast highlights the existence of a significant financial crisis, akin to the 2008 recession, which is currently unfolding beneath the public's awareness. The speaker contends that this crisis started before the collapse of Lehman Brothers and emphasizes the exposure of major financial institutions to the mortgage market. 2. Lack of awareness. The speaker criticizes the lack of awareness among experts and institutions, including those on Wall Street, about the depth and severity of the crisis. Despite warning signs such as the 2007 subprime market crash, most people failed to recognize the impending disaster, mirroring the situation before the 2008 crisis. 3. Banks insolvency. Major banks like J.P. Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and others are believed to be insolvent. The speaker expresses skepticism about their solvency, pointing out that they continue to pretend that their underwater assets will be fine. 4. Shortening maturity of national debt. The podcast discusses the risky strategy employed by politicians to shorten the maturity of the national debt, making it cheaper in the short term, but leaving the country vulnerable to higher interest rates in the future. The speaker criticizes the short-term thinking that has exacerbated the problem. 5. Comparison with Japan. The podcast compares the situation in the United States to Japan, emphasizing that Japan, despite having a high debt-to-GDP ratio, is a net creditor. In contrast, the United States is a net debtor, making its situation fundamentally. Japan's strategy. Japan, facing a similar crisis, is selling off its US dollar assets, including treasuries and mortgage-backed securities, to mitigate the damage. Japan's past wealth allowed them to delay their crisis, but America, being heavily indebted, doesn't have the same luxury. 6. Comparing America to Argentina. America's situation is likened to Argentina, emphasizing the danger of excessive deficits and money printing. Argentina, once wealthy, is now economically distressed, and the U.S. risks following a similar path due to unsustainable fiscal policies. 7. Imminent financial collapse. The podcast suggests that the U.S. is on the brink of a financial collapse. Major banks are considered insolvent, and the economy is built on a shaky foundation of debt and dollars. 8. Limited options. America's options are limited and grim. The speaker argues that default and deflation, where the government admits it can't pay its debts and reduces spending, would lead to a severe recession. Alternatively, devaluation and inflation, achieved by printing more money, might be the chosen path, leading to a loss of purchasing power for citizens. 9. Necessity of embracing free market capitalism. The podcast concludes by stressing the importance of embracing free market capitalism, sound money, and limited government intervention. The speaker believes that returning to the principles of the Constitution and adopting a free market approach is the only way to rebuild the economy in the aftermath of the impending crisis.